Hey everyone, Daryl Lucas here. I wasn't planning on doing any videos for today, but I saw something in the last hour or so that was just so outrageous I had to speak up. Okay, as you probably know, the Donald Trump was impeached yesterday for the second time in his presidency, and unlike this last time, there it was a it was the definition of a bipartisan impeachment. 10 Republicans joined when all 222 Democrats in impeaching Trump for his role in inciting the horrific events that took place at the Capitol last week. Now, it was to be expected that some of Trump's most diehard supporters would have a problem with it. But what I did not expect was to see how Franklin Graham responded to him. Graham actually had the gall. That's right, the gall to say that the 10 Republicans who broke ranks should be ashamed of themselves for doing so. No, folks, this isn't snark. Hang on, I'm pulling up my Twitter app on my phone here. Here, come on. Let's see. Can I get to it here? And then, okay. Hopefully it's showing up in the glare from my camera, but this is what. I don't think anyone can see, but I'm going to read it to you. The exact words Graham said. Shame on the 10 Republicans who joined with Speaker Pelosi and the House Democrats in impeaching President Trump yesterday. After all he has done for our country, you would turn your back and betray him so quickly? What was done yesterday only further divides our nation. And he wrote a longer missive on Facebook, which was on Facebook. Anna, on Facebook. He said, we have never had a president like him in our lifetime. And then after taking off all the good things Trump supposedly did, like lower taxes, economy, lower unemployment, the economy, lower unemployment, foreign policy, religious liberty, etc., etc., etc. And yet he claimed that the Democrats impeached Trump because they hate him and want to do as much damage as they can. And the 10 Republicans, and I'm once again quoting Franklin, joined the feeding frenzy. It makes you wonder what the 30 pieces of silver were that Speaker Pelosi promised for this betrayal. So, if I'm reading this right, in Graham's world, all the good that Trump supposedly did should have been worth the shame, the disgrace, the outrage that he subjected that he has subjected the nation, the world to ever since he came down the escalator of Trump Tower in 2015, and particularly since he became president in 2017. Like the racist dog whistles, the degrading of women, and the attacks on his foes, etc., ad nauseum. But that was to be expected because Graham, like the other religious right leaders, expects us to ignore everything Trump did and focus on the fact that he ticked the right box on abortion, gay rights, and given us judges the nation likes. But now let's turn our attention to the 500-pound gorilla in the room. If I'm reading these messages right, Graham is saying that all the good Trump supposedly did is worth how the Capitol Police and D.C. Metro Police were beaten up by the sans culottes who stormed the Capitol on last week. Well, actually beat them up with tire irons and everything else they could lay their hands on. One of whom was actually bludgeoned to death by a fire extinguisher. And yet, in Graham's world, Graham is apparently asking Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, Dan Newhouse, Jamie Herrera Butler, John Cantco, David Valado, Peter Meyer, Tom Rice, Anthony Gonzalez, and Fred Upton to ignore all of that just because of all the good this president did. Now I know Franklin Graham is warped, but his morals are warped, but I didn't expect to be this warped. Is Graham asking us and the 10 Republicans who broke ranks to ignore the fact that for several hours they were actually in fear for their lives, calling their loved ones because they thought maybe it would be the last call they'd ever make? And is he asking them to ignore the prospect that some of the thugs who descended on the Capitol may have been casing the joint with the help of Republican lawmakers? Is Franklin Graham asking them to say that the 10 Republicans who broke ranks should have ignored that horror, what they saw with their own eyes, just because of the good what they did? Apparently so. Let's not beat around the bush. With those posts, Franklin Graham spat in the faces of the officers who were injured and murdered on Wednesday, as well as the face of their loved ones. He has spat in the face of all the senators and congressmen who spent Wednesday fearing for their lives, because we now know we were very lucky that some of them weren't killed. Simply, it's been apparent for a long time that Franklin Graham is not the man his father was, not by a long shot. All he shares with his father is just a name. For those who don't know, Graham's full name is William Franklin Graham the Third. And let me make sure I have it right. Yep, it is. Franklin Graham's real name is William Franklin Graham the Third. Billy Graham's full name is William Franklin Graham Jr. That's all they share. Just a name. Franklin Graham is not the man his father was. In fact, to my mind, he's become just like the president in whom he helped turn into an orange god. Because just like Trump has been amply established, has no soul, no heart, and no conscience. Only a person with no soul, heart, or conscience would even suggest that Cheney, Kinzinger, Newhouse, Butler, Cantco, Valado, Meyer, Rice, Gonzalez, and Upton should feel any kind of shame for voting to impeach Trump. All the years of asking Democrats to put party over country and vote Republican when need be, and yet when Republicans break ranks, they should feel shame for it. The hypocrisy literally burns. If there is any justice in this world, this should mark the end of Franklin Graham's ministry. We already knew he was ignoring his father's sage advice not to get mixed up in politics after getting too close to Nixon almost brought him down. If there is any justice in this world, within a year, 2 years, Franklin Graham's ministry ought to be no more. And this one, and these disgraceful posts will mark the beginning of that end. That is all.